Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dave Hardy, the Secretary of Revenue, and I'm proud to introduce the 36th Governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice and Baby Dog.
We've lost our majority leader. I want you to go right here, sir. You can get the mic and you can go right here. We're joined by our, Assistant Finance Chair, John Hardy, and we're joined by our Majority Leader, Eric Householder. Eric.
Well, it's great to be back home. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The governor, I don't want to steal the governor's thunder today, but the governor's going to have a lot of good things to talk about. Now, it's something, excuse me, I'm out of breath running up the steps. It's something that I've been actively trying to get across the finish line for the last 4 years. The governor sincerely believes, like I do, that you all have been pulling the rope for many years, and it's time that we return some of your hard-earned money back to you. And so about a week before the session started, that Sunday before the session started, the governor called the speaker, the finance chair, myself over, and he said, Householder and Mr. Speaker, I'd like to talk to you about an idea. And that's what the governor's going to talk to you about today. And I think it's a worthy concept that we ought to put it to vote. In fact, the House passed it 95-2. We're hoping that our Senate colleagues will pass it. And with that, I want to turn it over to the governor so he can bring all the goodness to you.
Well, thanks so much. And when I get through talking to you, I won't talk to you long because I want you to ask questions. We're not here to beat up on anybody. We're surely not here to beat up on the Senate. I think we're 2/3 of the way home, and we need to get home. That's all there is to it. At the end of the day, if you just step back from this whole process and just think and be really brutally fair, and Leader Householder, you want to sit down or you want to stand up? I know you can stand up, but I just wanted to make sure we had you a chair. But nevertheless, here's the whole deal. First of all, and I say this very proudly, but I say this truthfully. You see, at the end of the day, that's where I'm really hung up. I'm always hung up on one thing, and that is to tell the truth. To tell the truth as best you possibly can. A lot of times politicians drift off into no man's land and they believe they can say about anything and then say, well, that's just politics. Well, bull's not. It's not just politics. We in West Virginia, surely to goodness, know just this. We know the difference between right and wrong. Too many people in this world today are all about what just they can get by with. And that's a problem in many situations. But the reality, and I want to tell you this too, if you want to come up and say hi to Baby Dog after this is over, well, I'll stay right here. That's no problem. So let's get that off the table right now. I know you'd a whole lot rather probably see her than me. That's for sure. I'm okay with that. But here's the straight skinny of the whole thing. From day one when I got here, and I'm a business guy. And I'll promise you, without any question in the world, no matter what anybody says, our state was in real trouble. And we didn't have many places to turn. And really, all we could really come up with was we thought we could cut, and the more we cut, the worse things got. Now, from that time, with the great work of the House and the Senate, and myself, I hope, from that time, look what's happened. We have absolutely built surpluses beyond belief. We have absolutely handled this crazy pandemic and all the stuff that goes with it. And we've got business after business after business coming to West Virginia right now, and all kinds of goodness. We have diversified our economy. Tourism's exploding. We've put real money in tourism. We've put money in it because we want to be frogs proud of our pond. Now, we've done that. Now, today, we're at another threshold, and that is just this. Now, a decision's got to be made. We have surpluses that are very substantial. And not only that, Dave Hardy, who's our Secretary of Revenue, sitting right here, will tell you he has vetted every number beyond possible belief to make sure that we're protected, conservative in what we're going to do. But right now, you're at a crossroads, and that crossroads is just this. We need to do a tax cut. We don't need all of your money that's coming to us. You need the money in your pockets, in my opinion. Now, here's the choices. You could sit on the sidelines and say, well, let's retrade Amendment 2. I don't think that we should be doing that. The people voted. My God, the people voted. The people spoke. We're supposed to do what the people say to do. That's all there is to it. Not what we want, what the people want. Now, so with all that being said, then really we get to this, and we can get to it really quickly. Let's look at any publication in the land. Leader Householder is dead splitting the bullseye. He has for a long time pushed an income tax cut. For a long time. Now, I've been on board a long time too. We were on board in a little bit different variations, but absolutely on board income tax cut. With all that being said, what are we going to do? We're either going to do one of two things, like it or not like it, but we're going to do one of two things. One of three things. We're either going to try to retrade Amendment 2 and do what the voters said not do, which is really crazy in my book. Or we're going to do nothing and let Charleston then spend your money. And like it or not like it, I'm part of Charleston. And absolutely, with all in me, you can bet this will happen just as sure as I know my name. Everybody in Charleston's got 10 things they want to spend money on. And if we don't watch out, we'll spin around, we'll grow government, we'll absolutely do pet projects or whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, we'll spin around 5 times and we'll be right where we were 6 years ago. Now, I believe that with all my soul. That's option 2. Option 1 is let's retrade Amendment 2 and do something that the voters said don't do. Option 2 is just leave the money with Charleston and let them do with it whatever they want to do with it. And I'm part of them. And I think that's complete crazy land. And option 3 is put the money back in your pocket and let you do with it what you think you should do with it. And at the end of the day, that's what Republicans always propagate. And absolutely, we know you'll make the right decision. You'll spend the money too. And as you spend the money, the multiplier effect of those dollars will just take off. And literally, they will become our own incentive program. And all you got to do is look at any tax publication in the land. I don't care which one you pick up. They're going to tell you just this. And that man right there will tell you, and I'll let him tell you in just a second. Without any question, the 9 states in this country that don't have an income tax are growing at twice the rate, or is it twice the rate, is that correct, of the average of the 41 other states. Now, you're in a beautiful area right here. And in so many ways, Charleston needs to get your playbook and run your playbook. You have done so much good here, it's off the chart. I hope to goodness that you're preserving the goodness of your life. you know, whether it be through your orchards or your horsemen or your beauty or whatever it may be. But at the same time, we want to grow and we want to prosper. And you're in a sweet spot beyond belief. You're within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of this country, and absolutely you're at a gateway. And so much more good could happen right to you. And as more good happens, it will bring more goodness to your roads. It will bring more goodness to your schools, on and on and on and on and on. Now, throughout all the state of West Virginia, it's not this way in a lot of spots. In a lot of spots in southern West Virginia, the Coalfield Expressway will bring a lot more goodness there at some point in time. But there's so much more that can be done. Now, I would tell you just this, too, and I want to say this before I go any further. You know, along the way, and if you watched me, you would say, well, Justice is a coal guy, but he has really embraced all these alternative energy sources. I mean, what's going on there? And here's what I believe. You know, I'm your governor first and foremost. I'm not Jim Justice for Jim Justice. Now, but with all that being said, I think we should embrace all the alternatives. But listen to me, and listen to me really clearly here. For any of you that believe here, and I'm not going to debate it with you, but any of you that believe that we can do without coal and oil and gas today, you're absolutely living in a dream. Maybe someday, but we can't today. I mean, you can't eat that now. Calm down. You're thinking chicken nuggets, aren't you? One of the places we stopped, and I love for people to tease. I mean, for crying out loud, I love to tease others and everything. And one of the guys stood up and said, do you know that there's always some level of similarity between your pet and the owner? Well, and this similarity is we have the same dietary program, you know. But nevertheless, let me get back to just this. Today, right now as we speak, now coal's a long ways away from y'all, but today there's a bunch of folks that are 7,000 feet underground, and the height of the coal is that high, and they can't even sit up, and they're there all day, every single day. And they've done it and done it and done it and done it. Now, they try to be as safe as they possibly can, but they've given us all a lot of stuff. We should never forget who brung us to the dance. And we should not forget our gas workers and all the goodness that our fossil fuels have brought us. Absolutely, we should look to the future and say, you know, if really and truly there's opportunities with all our alternatives, look and do and explore and embrace and absolutely diversify. So in all of that, let me go back to this because I got way off the subject. At the end of the day, if we move forward on something that every publication in the land says will bring growth and goodness to us beyond belief. I've got to share this with you just 1 second. The Federal Reserve came to my office and they sat down with me. Now, they have to be completely unbiased, okay? They're not Republican, Democrat, they're just not, okay? But they sat down with me, and honest to God, if I die right this second, because I told you I'm going to tell you the truth, you know, one of the very first things they said to me was, what's wrong with your legislature? And I said, this was 4 or 5 months ago, way before the House jumped in and we jumped in together and everything, and we are where we are right now. But I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, you need so badly to get on a pathway of getting rid of your personal income tax that's off the chart. And I said, well, tell me more about what your thinking is. And they said, well, South Carolina's on the way, Kentucky's starting, Georgia's starting, Mississippi's starting, and all the other states that have already gotten there. And do you realize that all the people from all this population are driving through you to get to them. And if you don't watch out, you're going to get, left in the dust, because everybody is moving in this direction because they know this is the key to Emerald City. Now, the one thing we've got to be sure of, and I'll promise you, these fellows right here are absolutely, they're all in just like I'm all in. But the one thing that all of us, especially that man right there, because I would absolutely choke him if this be anything but the truth, and that is this: we have got to be super conservative and make sure that we're still able to provide all the services and grow services and do more and more and more and more good things for all of y'all, while at the same time doing this as well. So what we did is we bucketed almost an equivalent to the rainy day fund, $700 million. The rainy day fund's got about $980 in it. $700 million we bucketed and said, we're going to set that aside for a rainy day personal income tax shortfall. That's an insurance policy. But we have to have more than that. We've got to have absolutely the greatest numbers and the greatest assurances and be super, super, super conservative. Last thing I'd say, my last thing is just this. If you walked in on day one and they hand you the books, and this is exactly what came from this man right here, and Mark Mukow, and at that time, what was Mike's name? The Mike that left us. Mike McCowan and Mike Cook. They were all there, and they gave me the books. Now, I'm brand spanking new, and they said, Governor, we got really bad news. This is honest to God's truth. I mean, if I die, I'm telling you the truth. You know, they said, Governor, we're going to be $217 million short this year, we project. Well, it's in January. For God's sakes, the year started last July 1st. And you've got to have a constitutional amendment. You've got a constitutional amendment. You've got to have a balanced budget. What in the world are you telling me we're going to be $217 million? At that time, $217 million was all the money on the planet. Not kind of, on the planet now. And we're going to be that short in this year that all of a sudden I'm the governor halfway through the year. And I said, I just can't believe this. What about the rainy day fund? No, we can't take any out of the rainy day fund because we've already done that in the previous couple of years here. And now our bonds are getting ready to be derated. Well, I said, well, what in the world? What are y'all going to do? Or what are we going to do? And then all of a sudden they said, but Governor, that's not the bad news. The bad news is we project your first year you're going to be $497 million short in your year that's going to start July 1. And that grows to $772 million short. Well, the only thing on the planet you can do at that point in time is you can say, well, we're just not going to have school in West Virginia, or we're just going to cut all the police out of West Virginia, or whatever it may be, because literally you are dead, not kind of dead, dead. Now that's where Jimbo here started. And so now all of a sudden, through the great work of these folks and many others, all of y'all, we are where we are. We're sitting here right now today looking at $1.7 billion surplus this year and $1.3 billion last year, and projections on from that are very good, even if you factor in lower energy prices and a mild recession. Very, very good. That's where we are today. Now, do you really, honest to God, believe, now you have to be nuts to believe this, that Jim Justice would have been handed those books and literally, some way, somehow, we would have got through COVID and got to where we are today, and Jim Justice would screw it up before he leaves? There's no way. There's no way. No way in the world. That's why these numbers have got to be super conservative, and they got to be right. So in all of that, now, I'll answer any question you want to ask, because literally, I know, they all know the exact same thing. This is absolutely vetted beyond belief, and we continue to want to make the numbers transparent. I absolutely think it's wrong as wrong could be for somebody to scare you and somebody say, oh, you know, if you do this, you'll end up like Kansas. You know, scaring you about the dark of the closet is not fair. Literally, right this moment, what needs to happen, and it needs to happen right now. What's your name? Olivia? Why don't you come up here just a second? I want to do something with you. Come here. Go right there. It's Olivia. That's baby dog. Okay. Okay. Now come on over here close to me. Okay. Now just relax. All right. You're my buddy, right? Okay. Okay. Now let's just make this so simple as simple could ever be. Okay. Olivia, let's just say, is making $50,000 a year in the state of West Virginia today. Let's just make it simple, a simple number. This just this simple. It's either you do this or you leave the money in Charleston and let us just do with it whatever we want to do. That's what I'm wanting to do. It can't be any simpler than that. I'm wanting to give you the money, and you, and you, and you, and so are these guys wanting to do the exact same thing. If you decide, and we've vetted absolutely to be where we are today. So now, Olivia, give me my money.
I wish it was an easy answer. We are meeting once a week. We're having breakfast over at the mansion, staff, House, the Senate leadership, and we're trying to find a common path forward. The Senate has asked that the House prioritize spending, which I would agree. If we're going to go this road and embark on personal income tax cuts, we should prioritize what our spending limits are. And so in defense of Senate President Blair, that's what he's asked us to do, and that's what we're working together. And it's my hope that we can reach some common agreement. I've heard on our local radio station here that Senate President Blair would like to, instead of a 30-10-10 approach, which is what the governor's offering to you, the Senate President would like to offer all 50% the first year. And I say bring it on. Just give us something, you know. I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to talk about it. I'm willing to do whatever agreement that we can reach.
I think that's exactly where I am too. The problem is, just wait 1 second, sir. The problem is we're in an auction with ourselves. I mean, they say we're going to come out with a plan and everything. There's a plan. I mean, this is the ultimate. Where's the beef? You know, the ultimate. You know, where is the plan? We tweak this 1,000 million times, you know, that we have all these numbers, we're willing to share, do, and everything else. And I'm going to be more blunt. I'm going to tell you that basically what's happening is stall. procrastination, just, that's what's going on. And at the end of the day, if we just keep messing around with this, we're going to get to a point in time and then say, well, it's late in the game and we're really worried about protecting the state, so let's don't do anything. And that would be, I can't imagine that that we're just going to walk off and leave you, and because it's not right. And Charleston will find a way to spin around 15 times and spend the money and grow government if we don't watch out. And then we'll have a real mess. We'll be right back to where we were. Yes, sir.
Governor, it's good to see you, and we're glad that you've made it your way to the Eastern Panhandle. We don't often see people from Charleston come up this far, so we're really glad you're here. I would have to say, though, that I think this tax cut's a bad idea. And I think it's a bad idea because I know that you believe that we're going to have some money left over after this tax cut. But, I've listened to politicians all my life. I'm 75 years old. And you know what? They're not always right. I think that the opportunity for people to suffer with this tax cut is great. I'm thinking about teachers, and I'm thinking about their students. Now, thank God for Mississippi, right? Because only in Mississippi do they pay their teachers less than we pay them in West Virginia. And I think that's really unconscionable. Now, you can drive up and down Highway 9 and up and down 81, and what you'll see are these big billboards from the good people of Washington County, Maryland, because they're wooing our people, our teachers, to Hagerstown, Maryland, paying them $20,000 more than they can make here starting. So, if you want ideas about how to spend the money in the surplus, so-called surplus that you've got in Charleston, you can increase the salaries of those people who are out there working their butts off every day to keep us safe. That's my suggestion.
Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I really don't.
Well, we need the money to do it.
Okay, absolutely. No, just listen to me just one second. I mean, from when I walked in the door, again, we've done 5%, 5%, 5%, and in my state of the state, I introduced another 5%. And I've said before I go, I hope we can even do another 5%. Now, every layer of one of those is the biggest increase, period, in the history of the state. Now, I have said over and over and over, as far as locality pay, absolutely I'm in. I have said over and over and over, as far as helping our policemen, correctional officers, I'm all in. Absolutely, that is all factored in everything we're doing here. I mean, to just say, well, let's just do that, and I would tell you just very... If I had my way, it would be 5%.
What does that take us? Still 49th in the country?
No, now just hear me out. Literally, we've got to get this through the House and through the Senate. Tomorrow, if you said, let's just raise the teacher salary 30%, in my opinion, you won't get to first base. You won't even think about getting to first base. It's got to get through the House and the Senate. And literally, what I'm telling you is we have made real progress, maybe not perfect progress by any stretch of the imagination, but we've made real progress. And I am a real believer in locality pay that could jack it up substantially. You're right. You're exactly right. Where you are here, the salaries of right across the state line, they're plucking our best away. And I get it. I get that wholeheartedly. And that's why locality pay could really, really help in this type of an area. Yes, ma'am.
The very argument that you're making proves to me that the shrinking tax base competitive. My wife teaches in Harpers Ferry. She'll tell you it's not about the money, it's about the kids. She loves working with kids. We're doing, as the governor said, we're doing everything as quickly as we can. Last year, we did a $10,000 pay raise for state troopers. We did a 15% pay raise for CPS workers. This year, we're trying to concentrate on correctional officers. So we know that we have issues, but as the governor stated, we did do a 5% pay raise 3 years in a row. So we're bringing them up. But when you mention Washington County, don't forget, they also have a higher tax base than us. I mean, for years, we've enjoyed low property taxes. And, you know, I keep suggesting, you know, we have a $4.8 billion budget. When I first got elected, that budget was at 3.8. So I've seen it grow $1 billion since I've been there for 13 years. But we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we put more money back into your pocket, because personal income tax creates wealth, brings in job creators. And I still believe it's the right way to go. And it's a pay raise. It's a 30 to maybe a 50% pay raise.
Unfortunately, the people who are making the kind of salaries that you're paying your teachers are not going to benefit maximally. The people who are going to make the biggest buck on the tax rate are the people that are making on the high income side. And that
Let me just rebut this just 1 second. Just say just this. Is West Virginia growing today? Is it growing? And it's not. But no, okay. Just let me finish, okay? West Virginia's growth is very, very, very minimal today, okay? At the end of the day, every publication known to man says you cut personal income tax, you grow, and you grow substantially. Every single publication in the world. If we had more people in West Virginia, would our schools be better? Would our teachers' pay be better? If we had more people in West Virginia, would our roads be better? Absolutely, they'd be better. There'd be more people paying, more and more and more people paying. Would the pay for these great police or firemen in the back be better? Of course it'd be better. Literally, you better solve one thing all across the state. You better solve the fact that we're an older state, and we're a chronically ill state, and we're not growing in population. You better listen to me on that. You know, at the end of the day, do we want to aggressively, as we can get past, raise teachers' pay to where we're competing with others and having better situation, raise firemen and policemen's pay? Absolutely, absolutely. But what I'm telling you is we can do that and do the other two. This is not like you can do one and you can't do the other. Literally, I mean, I see you shaking your head. Why would I tell you that? I mean, why in the world would I tell you that? You know, yes, sir. You can forget that coming from me. There's no chance on the planet that's coming from me. I mean, absolutely, that's not coming from the House. That's a non-starter in the House, and it's a non-starter with me. There's no chance in the world that's coming from me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Dave, could you add this? We've got this, should have it all over the place.
Thank you, Governor. As I said earlier, I'm Dave Hardy. I'm Secretary of Revenue for the Governor. I've been on board since 2017.